Good day and welcome to the first 50 as Genoa. Trevor has tasked us with, as Genoa, conquer and unite Italy, whilst also turning Sunni as quickly as possible and going towards uniting Islam. Lofty goals, and we're going to look at how we tackle that in the first 50 years. This is Italy. We got to conquer at least the northern part of it in order to form Italy. But we're also going to have to pay attention to the Sunni lands. We're going to need that to flip to Sunni as soon as possible, as was the stipulation. Now, Genoa is a wonderful country to start as. They have no end to the opportunities presented to them, since they are established in so many places across southern Europe, and they start with fairly rich everything, so they have a lot of opportunities there too. Especially since they start out with the Greed in Gibraltar mission that could have them wriggling their way into Iberia. They also have good stake in the Genoa trade node, and many of the centres of trade to grab around it are fairly undefended. So the more they capitalise on their trade income, the more they have to throw at the enemy. They also have Crimea around their lands up there. Possible place to go and get some more Sunni lands that they'll need for conversion. But as ever, the Ottomans are in their way as well, since they own islands around there too. So plenty of targets for Genoa. What are we going to do to start off? Well, we're going to need friends in pretty much every area that we're interested in. So can't go wrong with Castile and Austria, since they start out friendly. We're going to need good relations with Austria, since it's highly likely he gets some big friends within the HRE, and if the Ottomans attack us, we want Austria with all of his friends there to jump to our aid. Now, another consideration is the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. With a bit of improved relations, we may be able to seek out an alliance there. Genoa is a merchant republic, so we can't exactly marry others, but hey, we can certainly set rivals, and as every start of the game should be, we will make Byzantium our rival. And we need to start thinking about how to conquer them. Because of our islands, we can fabricate claims on their lands. They have Morea and they have Athens there. We've got to recruit an army and be ready to smash them down. Because frankly, what is a start in Europa if you're not putting an end to the Eastern Roman Empire? Take advantage of our lands in the east, recruit our units there, and start thinking about how to ship over our own units to take over the city of World's Desire. Now, we use our fairly impressive starting navy to ship everyone over to our island next to Byzantium and eye them up. As we can see, their units are fairly scattered about. We should be able to secure the south fairly easily, and since the Ottomans are tied up in their own war that's not against Byzantium, we should be able to take advantage of this and jump in on Byzantium ourselves. We fabricate the claim on Achaia. Our units are fairly ready. We also get a claim on Kandar. Now, that's quite important because it's Ottoman cores that they have not yet gobbled up. And if you secure them before the Ottomans do, it's like you weaken the Ottomans without having to fight them directly. A great idea if you're going to be fighting the Ottomans is to just take out the Anatolian miners before they do. Weakens them about as much as 100% one war. So we want to conquer Byzantium, we go for it. Their ally Serbia is in no mood to help, what with being somewhat occupied by the Ottoman forces. We engage the navy, we're going to defeat that navy, and then we are just going to jump on in with our units. It is very unlikely that the Ottomans are going to grant Byzantium any kind of military access so they can march their army from Constantinople over to us. So we march in as many as we can, we want to get them onto our cogs, and then once this battle is done, we can land over in Athens and crush the pathetic Byzantine and Athenian army. We do exactly that, we place the areas under occupation. The loot income does help with our balance because, well, the money isn't looking too hot right now. I try to avoid loans whenever possible. That's just a personal goal though, feel free to take them as you see fit because, well, the more you loan, the harder you try, and the more you can do. We can see that the Byzantine forces are over on Constantinople. And eventually we just go and crush them. They are no match for our forces. And we also wander around within the Ottomans because we also want our eyes on these Anatolian miners. We want to crush down on Kandar, preferably Karaman and Dulkadir, and just anywhere the Ottomans have cores. We want to prevent them from getting those. Balance sheet's not looking too healthy, even though our income is pretty good, at least for this stage in the game. But I'm sure the Byzantine coffers can empty themselves to help us out there. England getting embroiled in the War of the Roses, as they often do. So we conquer Byzantium with nary a hitch, and good old Poland have accepted a military alliance. We can feel fairly safe right now from the Ottomans, because if they were to declare war on us, we'd have a healthy set of allies, and due to being in the Holy Roman Empire ourselves, as we start out in 1444, Austria would help with their own allies. So glad we got Poland on our side. It doesn't appear that Austria have gotten any of their unions, however. Now, we need to keep an eye on the Mamluks. We don't want them hating us too much either. We might even consider an alliance with them later on. It depends how you want to go forward with the Ottomans, because grabbing the Mamluks as an ally against them and pulling them in, well, the Mamluks can seldom ever win one-on-one against the Ottomans, but a weakened Ottomans that you deny getting the Anatolian miners, with you helping them out, the Mamluks may well be able to destroy them. Still, we reorganize ourselves. We want to be able to take down Kandar without problem. So what we do is we keep half of our army ready to attack amphibiously, and the others are ready in the Ottoman Empire. They are exiled, so they can't exactly hop in on the action, but if we just occupy one province here, our exiled units will become unexiled when they're standing in occupied territory. So all is well there. Plenty of action going on in Iberia and in France, but it doesn't terribly concern us. The Aragonese subjugation of Navarra probably not going how they imagined it would there, but that is their problem. We maintain good alliances, and yeah, as we can see, plenty of allies for Austria. So if we do get attacked, and truthfully we want the Ottomans to attack us because we can bring in all that heavy artillery on our side. We did make Karaman a co-belligerent in this war. I want to be able to eat up both of these countries at once. That will deny the Ottomans from getting them for themselves. So we want Kastamonu occupied, our troops will become unexiled, and then Kandar can kiss goodbye their army and their nation. There's very little the Ottomans can do about this. They could declare their own wars, but then they'd just be killing the units for us, and frankly, I'd be grateful. Doesn't take long for that unfortified province to fall. Our exiled units are exiled no more, although I do kind of find myself wishing we had a larger transport navy to ship our units around. We will certainly be getting on that in the future. Now, technologically we have parity here, but with a strong fighting force and good flanking from our cavalry, the Karamanese were no chance against us. We're also eyeing up the Karamanese there. We need to be able to go and attack them, and the Ottomans don't seem very keen on giving us military access, so we'll have to figure that one out. There's Ramazan and Dulkadir there as well. More Ottoman cores, but we're not quite in a position to be taking those on. Thankfully, however, we have decent relations with the Mamluks, so we get military access from them, land over, get access through Dulkadir as well, and then we can circle into the back of the Karamanese forces. They're all kinds of confused and don't know what to do. So they go and attack us over in their capital of Karaman. Thankfully though, our troops are far superior to their own. And splat they go. Also gaining a Glory Seeker trait. Gotta get that prestige wherever possible. So Karaman is not exactly a threat, neither is Kandar. We simply place them all under occupation, and we aim to gobble up both of them. Now, the Sunnis in the area won't be happy from us doing that. We've got to keep that in mind. Looks like the Ottomans are a bit busy with Ak there. Not exactly a problem. That's not a province we were about to get to anytime soon. The Ottomans also still have their mission to take the city of World's Desire, that is to say, our Constantinople. We're kind of egging them on to do that. We even throw them an insult now and then because we want them to attack us. Then we can bring the real pain train down on them. So first away goes Karaman, and then we'll be taking out Kandar. Yeah, plenty of countries are unhappy, but we improve relations with the Mamluks. Those are the ones that we'd be most concerned about if they were to coalition us. The last thing we want is to be on the wrong side of both the Ottomans and the Mamluks. Imagine those two nations uniting over their mutual dislike towards your friendly merchant republic, Genoa. It's nice to take over here, but it's also nice that we're grabbing this Sunni land. It's worth noting again that the stipulation here was to turn Sunni as soon as possible. And we're going to be taking over lots of Sunni land this way and getting rebels as and when we can. As ever, we've got quite a bit of aggressive expansion, so we need to find something in common with the Mamluks here, because they're not too happy with us. So nothing says we have interests in common quite like rivaling the Ottomans like our friend, so we'll be ticking up some enemy of enemy bonus, and we can keep our relations with the Mamluks above 0, which is the level at which they're going to start thinking, hey, I want to coalition these guys, as long as aggressive expansion is above 50. Managing aggressive expansion, also important in Europe Universalis. Now we will be getting revolts from time to time. There's plenty of separatism around here, but thanks to our navy and a reasonable amount of money to manage our army, we are able to stay on top of that. We thunk down a missionary as quickly as we can on Sinop, because that will change the separatists to Sunni zealots, provided those separatists don't have any progression in their revolt. So, thanks to that, we can, as we said, as soon as possible, convert to Sunni. Now, this has some negative connotations for our country. When you flip religion like that, you often lose the alliances that you had, so we are going to get our diplomats home as quick as we can. And whilst they still think of us as an ally, we need to re-establish those alliances with Poland, Castile and Austria, providing they'll all still say yes. They seem pretty happy about it. That alliance attitude counts towards a lot here, so it's no difficulty re-establishing those alliances. After all, what's to a religion? Also means we have lots of land that we're going to have to convert here, but we'll get around to it. The situation looks alright for Genoa here, but we are certainly more than a little bit fragile, as we can tell by the revolts that plague our lands. But this is where we take advantage somewhat of our situation of essentially being a parasite on the Ottoman lands here. The revolts that we get can very often just be exported into their lands, so with the revolts that we get, we just kind of tease them into Ottoman territories. We also take note of what's going on in Aragon there, though. Since they're getting their own separatists, we might want to be able to pounce on Sardinia for ourselves. Now, it's been a long time coming. Genoa get a lot of interesting missions. Greed in Gibraltar, Feast in Ferrara, Trouble in Tangiers. May have mixed those up, but the point is you get very precise missions to take over provinces. So the reward is, well, it's nice and rewarding to get the claim on that province, but you get increased mercantilism as well. Since we've had this wonderful relationship with Castile, we call them in against Granada. And interestingly enough, Portugal's getting involved in all of this. So we say, yeah, Portugal, you get involved too. We had to promise Castile land in all of this war, and Castile was actually interested in some Portuguese land. Not vital interest per se, but they were certainly interested enough that they might accept some. So we go in, we crush the Granadan forces. Unfortunately, they had quite a few friends involved, but there was nothing we couldn't deal with a combined force of ourselves and Castile. So we take over the whole place, we make sure that Granada is ours, and we also took advantage of the fact that there was a breakaway in Sardinia as we had suspected. We strolled in exactly when they had no forces of their own, and kapow, we take over Granada and we keep Castile mostly happy by giving them some land from Portugal. It took a bit of jiggery-pokery to figure out exactly which land to give them, but as long as their trust didn't fall too hard and we did actually give them something, the Castilians would be happy enough with us. Take this opportunity, of course, to annex up Sardinia. We've got to be careful with our aggressive expansion in Europe as well as in Anatolia. The last thing we'd want is a Europe-wide coalition against us, but that's the wonderful thing about Genoa. You're very flexible in where you can conquer, so if things get too hot over in Iberia, you can pop over to Crimea, things not looking so good there, then hop over to North Africa. You can really disperse your aggressive expansion quite a lot, all whilst keeping the conquering train going strong. So with that, Castile's probably not too happy that we've jumped in, but hey, we're both yellow and in Iberia, so maybe they won't notice. Maybe they'll just think of it as their own. We enjoy getting our mercantilism bonus from taking over Granada, and just generally, we're looking a whole lot stronger, and it's only 59. Got ourselves established in a whole bunch of places. We want to core them up. We are a little limited on our states, but that's okay. We put down rebellions that are going on. Now, this is some core Italian land for us, so we don't want to have those Sardinians rising up anytime soon. We want to keep our finances in order. That's one of our big strengths as Genoa. You may note that I haven't been using any trade companies. I'm avoiding using those so that even those without the corresponding DLC can still follow a guideline like this. The Austrians asked us to help them out in one of their wars, but it's something that they've got taken care of quite well. We're also trying to spread that glorious Muslim across our own lands. We don't want to be dealing with too many Catholic rebellions, because I doubt many people will be around to help us with that. So I have been egging on the Ottomans to attack me, and sadly they haven't taken the bait. So truly Genoa is not going to be safe until the Ottomans are put down for good. We establish an alliance with Hungary, very much in the thought of how do we bring down the Ottomans. Hungary is that great stepping stone between Austria and the Ottomans, so we wanted to get them on our side. They're also quite interested in the land. Given all the time we built up plenty of favours, so if we invite Hungary in for land, and we simply invite in Austria and Poland for favours, we'll be able to crash down on them. We have the claims, we grab them, and we simply declare the war. Castile was not interested in any of that. They weren't too happy with what we did before. Plus, this is a distant war to them, not so much for our friends elsewhere. Now, there's no kill like overkill, but truly is there overkill when it comes to the Ottomans. They can pull a lot out of nowhere. They also had an alliance with Bohemia. Now, it's quite often that the Ottomans will actually establish an alliance with France. In such a case, I would make sure that I had France predisposed diplomatically, either joined in another war or just otherwise busy. But in this case, we only had Bohemia to deal with. We ravaged their lands as quickly as possible, because we want Bohemia out of this war. Bohemia have this nasty way of just popping up with 20 to 40,000 units everywhere you don't want them, due to them having some pretty high developed lands and access to a gold mine. I've pretty much written off our Anatolian lands, since it's far more important that I stick close with the Hungarians, the Austrians, and the Polish. So Bohemia is not looking too hot. I give away some of their land because I want to keep the Polish having a vested interest in the HRE. Gotta keep your friends at each other's throats sometimes so that you can pick and choose your sides. That kicks Bohemia out of the war. Don't have to worry about their little stacks wriggling around. And now it's just us and the Ottomans, and some minor other forces, but we don't have to worry about that. Ragusa, Crimea, Circassia, Trebizond, mere stepping stones. We have the numbers, we have the desire, so now it's time to roll on down into Anatolia. Now, it's early on, and the Ottomans have not conquered too much land around here, so their access to forts are minimal. We have a pretty much clear run all the way down to Iedereen and Constantinople, so we disperse tiny little 1k stacks to siege up the non-fortified land. We also want to keep the forts that they do have under wraps so that they don't use zone of control to take back the lands. And we stick close to our allies. Unfortunately, they're spreading out just a bit, but it's enough to chase the Ottomans away. We march our way down, and hey, Venice loves us so much that they're sending us a gift, because they too have vested interests in the Ottomans. In fact, Genoa and Venice share a lot in common with how their game can flow. Thankfully, we're getting Constantinople back. Notice that we had demolished the fort there. Our economy simply could not keep up. But if we truly want to put them down, we're going to have to cross that strait. So we take our fleet, we get a decent general who gives us extra engagement width, and we crush the puny fleet of the Ottomans. Especially early on, it makes such a difference having that extra engagement width, so you can use more ships to barrage their own. So despite them having more galleys, we were still able to take them down thanks to our glorious merchant fleet also getting involved. We move into position so that our armies can cross across the strait, and we no longer fear the Ottoman units. Sure, they may keep us under occupation over in Anatolia, and sure, war exhaustion is growing for us. Even our allies are starting to think, hey, maybe we don't want to be in this war anymore. But that's alright, we have the Ottomans on the back foot. It is very important to score that 100% war score on them, because we need to tear them to shreds. You are never truly safe in this region until the Ottomans are put down, and that's what we're going for here. Thanks to securing the strait, even our allies can come marching over. We see Lithuania is right in there, and eventually, you know, we're getting revolts here. Our allies are dropping out. Hungary have actually decided to peace out on their own, so we don't have to worry about giving them land that we promised. So we look at how to carve them up best. Much as I would love the fort and the gold mine of Kosovo, we have to think how to do the most damage. We want to take Ankara for that fort. In fact, forts over in Anatolia are very tall order there. We want them. We grab our claims, we kind of unite our own lands, and this I deemed was the best way to weaken the Ottomans. Also giving a little province over to Poland. Again, we want to keep Poland and the Ottomans at each other's throats. The losses were sky high, our own manpower is tapped, and our money situation, well, it's looked better, but it's always worth it to take down the Ottomans. You should take 20 loans if it means you can secure an incredible win over the Ottomans just to keep them out of your hair. We give a whole bunch of land to Athens as well because it's ripe time for integrating them. Even though they may get a revolt or a few, it's going to be small in their land, so we can take good care of them. Of course, Athens is our subject because when we annexed Byzantium, we got their own vassal. So, as expected, high war exhaustion and plenty of newly conquered lands means that we get all of these revolts popping up. So what we do is, because we split up the Ottomans, we give them military access. They're interested in it after all, they need to be able to access their own lands. And, you know, if they just so happen to be running into our own Byzantine separatists that are rising up, well, what a pity. So the Ottomans put them down. The Ottomans, of course, tanking ahead in tech because, well, they have a great Osmanoglu to begin with, and more to come. We also take care of our poor subjects' revolts here, since we want them integrated, preferably with all the lands there. So suffice to say, the situation looks pretty good. It looks pretty yellow over there. That's a lot of delicious Anatolian and Greek land for the Genoese to have. Plenty of taxes, production, and forcing that trade back to the Genoa trade node. So prosperous times for Genoa, and with this the Ottomans are essentially defeated. They can still pack a bit of a punch, but they are in no way something that we can consider truly a threat here. So maybe we need to start thinking about Italy here. We look at the income we're getting, and you don't make quite as much as you might expect over here, due to quite a lot of other people having their own centres of trade in the Genoese trade node. Aragon is quite guilty for gobbling them up a fair bit. But if we want to expand within the Italian region, we have to consider the HRE here. We can't really attack into it without enjoying loads of aggressive expansion, so we need to find better ways to go about it. Provence's southern lands are not in the HRE, Provence themselves are not, so we look towards getting ourselves a spy network built up there. We want a claim. Hell yes, we do want a claim. Can't keep our eyes off the institutions though. We've actually been embarrassingly longly without the Renaissance due to having so much land overseas. The Ottomans got it before us. So we finally have the money and the spread of it to embrace it. A lot of our money has been dumped into warfare. Allows us to tech up to the ever important military tech 7. Basically any technology that gives you tactics is a technology that you want above all others. We can also start thinking about the ideas that we want. We're going to go with my old flame plutocratic ideas. I love them ever so much. That morale of armies is lovely. I always rate defensive extremely high, but when plutocratic is on the option, I really want it. It gives us an extra merchant as well down the path, and that's super handy for this merchant republic. Finally, the Shadow Kingdom has struck, and we're not about to be ones to bend the knee to the Empire here. It means that Italy is cleared out and we can start attacking people around here without enjoying extra aggressive expansion for HRE expansion here. We're looking at Lucca here. Lucca are allied with Savoy. Savoy packs quite a punch, but we can pack a heftier one. But I also really want Provence out of the picture here. Well, thanks to not being in the HRE anymore, we could probably take on both. We have a kind of shaky relationship with Austria. We're going to need to pick that one up a bit. But now that we're out of the HRE, we can enjoy being a serene republic. Now we're up at kingdom rank. We have better bonuses. And I really want to take on Lucca here. They're in a ripe situation for it, so we should just get ourselves a claim and go for it. Beautiful land, beautiful farmland. So we attack them, we take on Lucca, we take on Savoy, no problems there, right? Now, Provence was allied with Savoy. So this is a great opportunity to now strike down on Provence, since Savoy's in no opportunity to help them. They are, however, allied with Florence. We don't like them so much, so we're just going to go in and crush them. We're in a position, Florence are actually really wealthy, so they can bring quite a lot of troops to the table. That's why we want them down and out quickly, and boy do we do quickly. We jumped on them, they never saw it coming. With this, we should be able to get them out nice and quickly, and then move on to grab that estuary off of Provence. We do exactly that, and by this point things are looking just peachy for Genoa. So everything's looking fine in Iberia there. We have a strong grip on northern Italy here. Would be nice to be stronger, but this land is fairly high in development, and even not in the HRE, it will ruffle a few feathers. But best of all, the Ottomans have been put down. They are not really a threat for us. That Genoese Balkan, that Genoese Anatolia, is truly a jewel for our kingdom. It means it won't be too hard to expand there. So, things are looking really good. It's been just over 50 years for Genoa. Monetarily, things are looking just dandy. We have secured quite a bit more trade over in our home trade node, thanks to getting that extra estuary. And we will be looking towards other important centers of trade to grab in the area. We've been spreading the Muslim love. We will continue to spread it, thanks to keeping piety high and getting advisors here and there. Now, with regards to our goal of uniting Italy and going towards uniting Islam as well, you couldn't ask for much better in the first 50 years. With all this land under our control, the world is really our oyster. So this has been the first 50 as Genoa. Hope it's been inspiring for you, and cheers again to Trev for assigning us with this task. Cheers, and just for now, cheerio.